Grandpa Anthony the Lizard. Text and illustrations by Hiroko Kobayashi. My name is Anthony. I am an old lizard. Today I'd like to tell you a special story about my mother. In her later years, my mother became very forgetful. The same thing seems to be happening to me recently, so I'd like to tell you all my mother's story before I forget it. The story begins many years ago when my mother was still alive. Life was really hard then. My mother often suspected me of stealing things. One day, I found she had hidden a burned pan in a closet. Another time, there was a block of frozen meat stashed under her pillow. I was very sad, even though I knew her behavior was caused by her illness, dementia. It must have been very hard on my mother herself, and even though I understood that, it was very difficult for me to accept her condition. One day, a mysterious wizard appeared in front of me. He handed me a small brown bottle and said, "The poison in this bottle won't be effective for 7 days, but after that, you can use it in any way you like. However, don't use it until the 7 days have passed." Wow, I thought. Is such a thing possible? If I did kill my mother, not only might it solve her suffering, but I could also be released from my own problems. I felt relieved that all my troubles would only last 1 more week. Of course, killing her would be in my mother's best interests, I tried to convince myself. 1 week. Only 1 week was left. That realization, however, made me remember the many happy days we had spent together. I cried and could not see through my tears. For the next week, I thought, I'll try to be as kind as possible and not get angry with her, so I don't regret it later. On day 1, my mom went for a walk. I didn't try to stop her or tell her to stay home. I just followed her quietly. Just as I expected, she eventually got lost. I even watched as Mr. Stevenson, the neighborhood frog, kindly led her home. On day 2, my mother suddenly scolded me. "Anthony, how dare you steal my money again?" Usually I would have fought back. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Today, however, I softly answered, "You've lost your money? Shall I help you find it?" After searching here and there, she eventually became tired and whispered uneasily, "It will come out soon, I suppose." When I was a child, every time I lost something, my mother would gently say, "Don't worry, it will come out soon, and you'll find it again." Now I smiled at my mom and used her old words, "Don't worry, it will come out soon." On day 3, my mom screamed loudly, early in the morning. "Anthony, come here right now! Anthony!" "What happened, Mom?" I asked. "You're not Anthony. Don't pretend to be Anthony. Anthony, where are you?" I was very, very sad. She had lost the ability to recognize me. I left my mother and went to my bedroom to stare at the small brown bottle. Day 4 was surprisingly calm and peaceful. My sister Nancy came to help with my mother. Thanks to her, I was able to enjoy a walk and even play billiards. Before that day, she had often come to help, but I would get angry at her. What does she know, I would think, and get annoyed. She only stays here for a short time. Please forgive me, Nancy. Thank you for everything, Nancy. On the morning of day 5, my mother was crying loudly again. I heard a cup breaking on the floor. "What's the matter, Mom?" "Oh, Anthony, look over there. It's a snake. A snake is coming into our house." She was terrified. I couldn't see any snakes. My mother was hallucinating. "You're too easily frightened, Mom, but I'm here, so I'll get rid of any snakes you find." I paused as my mother gradually calmed down. "You don't have to worry about them anymore. Just relax and trust me." I hugged her firmly. Her tiny shoulders were trembling softly. On day 6, I felt restless from early in the morning. The next day would be the 7th. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I also remembered my wife and sweet children who I had left in another town far away from my mother's house. I was exhausted and fell asleep on the sofa. Suddenly I realized that someone was standing over me. It was my mom putting a blanket over me. "Oh, Anthony, you'll be cold if you sleep like this." She gave me a gentle gaze. I saw a look in her eyes that I remembered from my childhood. "Mom, oh Mom," I cried and cried loudly. "Anthony, what's the matter?" She laughed and patted me on the head. I don't remember what I did or where I ran after that. I just grabbed the small brown bottle, went out, and ran as fast as I could. I stepped on thorns, and both of my feet started to bleed. Despite that, I ran and ran for as long as my breath lasted. The very moment when I thought I couldn't run anymore, the wizard was standing by me again. I handed the bottle to him and managed to say, "Take it back." He accepted the bottle with a face like stone. Then he disappeared silently. On the grass, I found a red gerbera, which was my mother's favorite flowers. Everything was good. I had done my best, I thought. After I finally came back home, I found my mom standing anxiously in front of the entrance. Though I never like it when she waited for me, as if to monitor my attitude, this day I felt happy and said in a soft voice, "I'm home, Mom." I felt a bit shy. There was a very beautiful sunset, and I could feel the beginning of fall. After that, my mother's condition never improved. In fact, it only got worse. Mom could not call me Anthony anymore. But I had changed. Yes, my way of thinking had changed. I was now able to ask others for help. I was able to say thank you to someone who had been kind to us. I stopped trying to do everything by myself. I asked my wife and children to come stay with me and my mom. I had hesitated to let my family see my mother's dementia, but I could now accept her as she was. It continued to be hard to the very end, but it was also very precious for us to spend time with my mother. Even now, I remember my mother's gentle gaze clearly whenever I see a red gerbera flower. She was always my mother. I want to apologize to her for 1,000 things. I wanted to thank her for 1,000 things. But in the end, everything is fine. Everything is fine. This is the end of my old story. Anthony the Lizard tells this story every day. He tells it to anyone who will listen, as if he were sharing it for the first time ever.